I'm done with my car. I need to do something. I want to lease and escape. Find me something around what I'm paying now, and then we'll roll the rest of what I owe. And I owed $9,000 on it, so $9,000 over 36 months. You're paying 200 something extra a month on that lease, but you're done with it in 3 years, and you're cut and dry.
Yep.
And basically the difference between leasing and purchasing is leasing, instead of paying until you're at zero, in 6 years, you're going to agree to pay until X amount after 3 years. And so the benefit there is in 3 years, you're not going to own your vehicle unless you're doing a 3-year loan.
Right.
So the bank owns that title no matter what.
Yep.
So so it ends up, for me, I know I'm going to have a payment for forever because I just like new vehicles.
You like new vehicles. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like you're either going to pay for it in the long run.
Exactly.
With, so, I mean, I personally, I want to work towards like cutting down that debt. I want to eventually be able to get it so that I can just fucking buy the thing outright. Like I'll throw extra cash at it, each month or whatever. But yeah, fucking vehicles, dude. They're just like, till Teslas are like made available to everybody for a short amount of like, but even he's like, just lease it because it's going to be a new fucking model every year or so, every couple of years. So just fucking do it. Not that you're not
driving a billion miles a year, I mean, the people that benefit the most out of leasing are people that drive a shit ton because you're going to be outside of warranty. If you're driving 20,000 miles a year, you're going to be outside of your factory warranty in 3 years, and you're on your own with any repairs. So
that's about what I'm at. Yeah, I do about 20,000 a year.
Well, think of it this way: the computers they're putting in these, the touchscreens, even in the Prius is even more so. Those big, huge ass friggin' touchscreens that cover the entire console. Those on a Ford are like $1,500, $1,600 just for the 8-inch touchscreen. You break that once. I don't have $1,800 sitting in my pocket, and that's not something that's going to be covered under your insurance in 3 years after that's gone. So, it's the price of vehicles and the parts for them nowadays. It's almost silly not to lease. And number two, I mean, obviously salesmen love leasing because you're selling a car every 3 years, almost guaranteed. So it ends up being great on both ends. But but the people that are paying cash, obviously, they don't want to one pay a lease, because that's equity that's just gone. Whereas if you're one paying for a vehicle, if you're constantly building equity, it's almost better. It's better to look. The best way to know is monitor how much you've spent on the vehicle over 3 years on your payment and parts and everything that you basically pay for. And then you check and see if that lease over 3 years, don't look at a payment on it. Look at how much you're going to spend on the lease over the entire course of it and compare apples to apples. Because for some people, they're paying 20, 30 grand over the course of 3 years on a truck or whatever. And if they lease it, they're going to pay 12. So that's the people that really benefit. And so if anyone's looking to see with no smoke and mirrors, the best way to go, that's the best way to look at it. How much is that vehicle going to cost me over 3 years to buy? How much is it going to cost me over 3 years to lease? And how much am I spending now? And then you can make your kind of best informed decision. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most I think I've talked about cars ever in my entire life. I hate cars, man. Like, it gets me to point A to point B. I know you're a salesman, but point A to point B, I'm all good with that.
Oh, this is financial advice, man. Don't think of it as cars. We're talking financial advice.
Yeah, but it's financial advice over cars. Fucking goddamn, we're basically at work right now.
Starbucks.
So, how was Christmas for you? Did you get anything fun to play with? Like, what was it like, or was it just straightly towards the kids and like, you get any new games? I guess.
I nerded out a little bit.
Yeah, what'd you get?
A lot. I picked up a liquid cooler for my PC.
Which just keeps the thing cool, I'm assuming.
Yeah, basically it's a big block that goes on the CPU, which is like the brain of the computer. It's a small little chip, little square chip. And basically that sits on it and it pulls heat away. So it's got metal on metal, got a little liquid in between, little paste. and it pulls the heat away from it that's emanating from the CPU, goes to the liquid. The liquid runs through tubing to a radiator that has air being pushed out via fans, and so it cools.
Jesus Christ! It sounds like we're talking about cars again. God,
it's the same thing, air, your air conditioning, cars, all kinds of stuff uses it. So basically, it feeds hot water into that area, cooled off, feeds the cool water back in. So this thing's like Legos for me. It's great. You get to start like putting things together. And I knew nothing about really building computers a whole lot until I got into this. It was always, my dad would be like, yep, this is what this is.
You got to do this.
Yeah. You can watch me do it and hold the flashlight.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Hey, sometimes that's just the best job. Now that you're saying that, I was just thinking like, at some point, I mean, obviously any type of experience you get into something, and then you also pull your other experience, that's how you make a great idea. Somebody at some point was a fucking nerd building their computer, and their dad, who I don't know when they came out with these liquid coolants, but that kid probably got pulled away from the computer at one point, and their dad was like, you need to learn how to fucking work on this car. Or maybe their mom was like, you need to learn how to work on this fucking car. And so they worked on the car a little bit, and they're like, oh, what does that do? Oh, that cools that thing off? Huh. This would work kind of cool with the fucking PC. That's kind of the same thing. Let's just do that. And then that's how and now he's a multimillionaire, or she's a multimillionair. Probably he, but whatever.
I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know who invented liquid cooling.
For just a PC. Like, somebody had to sit there and be like, no, it would be really good to work on that. This thing that's in my car. And then the fucking applies
What is
it.
your guess on when this started? Water cooling.
Water cooling. I'm going to go ahead and say 89. I would say 89.
Close. If you reverse that a little bit, it was in our lifetime.
98 then? If I reversed
96
it,
to
it was
98. We were dealing with an ice storm, and some asshole was
so...
making water cooling stuff for PCs. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
No shit. Wow.
Let me see. It doesn't give me a name yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But
that's funny.
96 to 98. Yeah, so I did that, and of course I couldn't wait like 30 seconds to put it in. So I came home, put that in, and then went to my daughter's dance recital.
That purchase was like a purchase where you were out one day and you're like, it's fucking Christmas. I'm getting myself something.
Kinda. It was. I got a bonus from work, and I was because at the time we had gotten all this stuff for the kids, and we were just gonna kind of do that stuff. And because I got my wife two big presents, two expensive presents, I was like, don't get me anything,
I don't want anything.
Yeah, I was like, I'm good. I'm good.
Stop going into the banking account. What's going to make me... give me a present, make it so I don't have to work extra just to make up for whatever you're going to fucking buy me.
So I was like, I don't need anything. And then I got this bonus, and I was like, do you mind? Do you care if I can I get these things, and I'll just say they're from you? She's like, no, I don't care. So awesome. So I picked up 6 fans for my PC, so I could change the color. But because my computer was getting hot down here, this room is pretty warm. I've got a heater in here, and I turn it all off. But because of the lighting and the computer and all that, it gets really hot.
And body heat.
The sweating nerd.
Too. Fucking just a sweat.
If you only knew. I picked up that stuff, and I got a new desk. It lights up. It's kind of cool. I'm a sucker for LEDs. And then a little mouse. See if you can see that on there. This sweet little thing.
Oh shit, dude! It looks like it looks like a robot mouse. Like an actual mouse, but it's got like robot plating all over it. And
feels kind of like you're cupping a breast. It's kind of nice.
That's a tit.
It doesn't have a tit on it. That's
a dude. You got a multi-million-dollar idea. Think about it. I mean, people who play fucking computer all day, or maybe even Xbox, like the tit controller now. That way it's just like
the sensor.
But I don't know how much
have to have a
people.
Bra, though.
Yeah. Well, like then I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, somebody who hasn't gotten laid in a while is going to be cupping that fucking thing. They'll have a screen on, like, watching them play, and then they'll be like, oh, I know that guy's got a boner right now. He's cupping the tick controller, like
joystick for flying, dude. That's
yeah, dude. Like, oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Dude, we need to patent that before we release this podcast, so that because there's something in there. Like, we contact Fleshlight, and we were like, listen, video games and tits, Because let's be honest, we don't even need to be sexist about it. No girl's gonna buy a ball-feeling fucking controller,
I have seen. I will say this, going back to cars. I apologize.
Yeah.
I have seen a male phallus stick shift.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay.
So it's out
but
there.
Like, that's a gag joke. I'm not talking like what I'm talking about. That's a gag thing. That's like,
dude. They're always looking for anybody who has that. Okay, it's not just at home playing it by themselves. It's some streamer chick.
Okay, but goddamn well that like when girls go out with like a fucking dicks on their heads for bachelor parties. Okay, it's straight gag. It's like, woo, look how crazy we're being. But guys will be like, they'll be playing on with their tit controller. This is a thing now, right? They got their tit mouse, which is I think actually a bird. That dude, we got a whole fucking product line. It's a tit mouse, mouse control. A tit mouse.
Oh, dude, I 100% agree. The male
a TMM, dude. This is great. Yeah, that guy at some point is gonna go. I mean, I don't have a girl with me right now. I'm just going to take my mouse away from my computer and just start fucking... Or not even away from the computer. They're going to be watching porn. They're going to be like... It's going to be like virtual reality, like just squeezing this tit mouse, And they're going to be like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, this feels so great. Like, no girl is going to be like, oh, yeah, that's... Stick shifts. I mean, maybe. Dude, I shouldn't say no girl. I'm sure there's... I imagine there's probably some
Here's the thing. Twitch is about who can create content and make people watch. And if it's a bunch of sweaty nerds sitting around with the biggest neck beards you've ever seen that just have never had any contact with any women other than through, Reddit, they see that...
Just
they
the
see
weirdest
that thing get touched
fucking...
once, dude, and it's just friggin' raging clues everywhere.
Oh my god, dude! To quote South Park, goddamn, yeah. Oh man. Oh shit. So speaking of that, dude, like, I mean, there's Reddit and stuff like that, and I never really dabbled in that, other than when it pops up on my Google feed, and it's like somebody has a really funny post about some stupid shit. But yeah, it's a dark hole. That's all I hear from people is they're like, oh my god, you see what happened on Reddit? And I was like, no, and I don't give a fuck. Like, why would I give a shit what some people are saying on there? But like the incels that people talk about, where it's just like involuntary celibate people, where they can't get laid, can't talk to people, can't do whatever. They're not they're trying to get laid, but they can't.
Yeah.
Like there's no social skill, there's no fucking whatever, and it's a deep, dark, like you said, a deep, dark hole that I think plagues a lot more people than everybody realizes, Because if you're having fun and you're happy and content with your life, you're not fucking thinking about the poor schmuck in his basement that's like, every time I talk to a girl, she just kind of clams up and walks away, or that fucking bitch, like that's how it always starts, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's a big fucking piece of our society that just like, now it's not huge, I shouldn't say it's not huge, but it's some of the most violent pieces of our fucking society. And that's why, honestly, we should, legalize prostitution. Just throwing that out there. And not forcing people to have sex with everybody, but at least there'd be a profit in it,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at, because I've never looked at any studies on countries that have it banned versus countries that don't.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
I have. And not because I'm like, oh, I want to partake. So like in Amsterdam and shit, and I should say I looked at this when I was in high school, but the crime rate in sexual assaults pedophilia.